The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
About higher education funding and evaluating the loans, government funding, and the student burden. Dr. Maina Wa Gaithoro is the Secretary General of the National Parents Association, Kiambu and Central Region, and joins us in the hot seat this morning. Good morning to you, Dr.
Good morning, sir.
Karibu sana. And the Chief of Staff, University of Nairobi Students Association, is Michael Soy, also here with us this morning. Karibu.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for being here, both of you. Before we get into this conversation necessary for us to have, Dennis is going to welcome you with today's proverb. We'd love to get your interpretation of it.
Yes, our proverb comes from Mauritania. Capital is Nouakchott, and it's rich in gold, phosphate. It is rich in iron ore. The reason why they have one of the longest and the heaviest train, over 2 kilometers long, called the iron ore train. And that helps in transporting the minerals that they do have for processing and further exportation outside the country. It is predominantly a desert with a population of around 6 million people. And that notwithstanding, they are back into greening the country. They have the Green Wall of Mauritania that then addresses climate change, desertification, land degradation, drought, and food security. Our proverb: if you knock and no one answers, at least you know which door not to return to. If you knock and no one answers, at least you know which door not to return to. How would you interpret it?
Before I get to the interpretation of the proverb of the day, I like to twist it to what the Gen Z and a student from the University of Nairobi will do. If you knock at the door and it doesn't open, you ought to break that door and just get in.
Okay.
Anyway, back to what the Mauritanians were thinking towards when they formulated the proverb. It talks to us about rejection. When you pursue something, you've made an effort towards achieving something, perhaps it's education, a career, a partner, or someone you want to be with. Once you do not have that opening of the door or the acceptance, you shouldn't persistently continue being there, but move forward to another opportunity. So one closed door informs you that you don't need to return there, but make progress. Perhaps when they were building the longest train you were talking about, they needed to look at the geographical extent of their areas. Perhaps they didn't find the oars or moved on to where another opportunity were. That is why they said, when one door doesn't open, you need to move to the next.
To the next one. Dr. How would you interpret it?
I think he has said it all, but I would go to another direction. I would keep on knocking and knocking. If it doesn't open at all, I presume that there's nobody in the house. And it could be, I'll go to the next door.
Yeah.
I'll go to the next door. And again, also, I would also think that the person inside is not welcoming me. If he's not welcoming me, then I would rather go to the person who is a bit compassionate, who open it for me.
Yeah.
So I think I would just keep on trying new doors. And if they opens, then I'll forget the unopened door. And I think it is a door of unkindness.
Alternatively, what one would do as well is build your own house with your own door that you have keys to. You open and close whenever you want.
But if you don't have the ability.
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Well, speaking of doors, it looks as though one door was opened when, during this last current period, Kenyans were told that university funding would be taken care of and that the previous funding model was not going to come into play, but that the state was going to take care of everything. Well, that door closed and another door was opened. And we are now being told that you can borrow money to fund university education, 3 times interest of what HELB is currently offering. Let's just look at what this kind of means in terms of the door that is being opened. We'll start with you, Dr. For the 294,000 students who will enter into the 38 public universities across the country, it seems as though things are not quite sure. Before we come to the student experiences of those who have been in university for the last 1, 2, 3, 4 years, and what essentially is going to happen to them, how is this taking everybody at the moment?
I would like to take you back and see when we are reading our budget, this was not captured.
Sindo?
Was it by thought? Was it by political? So because I think any political statement that is made cannot be correct. It might be that door that never opens, and I think it is very weird for a person to promise poor parents that they will get free education, while we know that could be that may not be possible. Well, but if there is the will, the government can go back, do a current budget, and if they did another budget and capture that, then we shall agree. But if it's just on top of vehicles that we are being promised, then we think that we have had so many promises on top of vehicles, on roadside shows, and they have never worked. Yeah. So we are wondering whether that is a door that is so hard to open, because a long time ago, immediately after independence, education was accessible to everybody, the poor and the rich together. Because education is an equalizer, and it's only education that can empower our youth and everybody, for that matter. The Basic Education Act dictates that everybody is supposed to access education. So I don't know why these policies now should not be furnished, that everybody gets money as the old days. The good old days, everybody was getting education, everybody was getting a boom, and then they would get a loan that was not overtaxed, and then, of course, they would be able to pay when they get jobs. Yeah. The other thing is, if you are giving this money that is so highly, with a very high interest, where are our students going to get? Where do you want to tax somebody immediately when they go to the job market? Yeah. They will be very overburdened.
Yeah. So we look at education as an equalizer, as Dr. has said, that everybody should be able to access this. But we have you in campus, and with that, then one asks the question, how has the access been, especially when it comes to funding education in campus, And when you look at HELB was there, it was changed to education funding model, the new one that never worked. And now we have a new model that is being proposed that will be expensive. What does that translate to all students who are already struggling, even when HELB was there before the education funding model? What does this new funding model that is being proposed, what will it do to students?
Thank you, Aseto, for this opportunity. And when I listened to the president making that proclamation of education, university education would be free, I was almost happy, because I was there when he was receiving the Kenya Vision 2060 report or proposal. Yeah. But minutes or hours later or days later, when the cabinet secretary, the principal secretary of higher education was in parliament with the CEO of University Fund, that is Monari, they said that education won't be free. It would be loans. And that is what basically broke my heart. What defines a working university funding model? It is a model that ensures that a student is admitted, get the requisite funding, completes his education in times, get the requisite skills, and transitions to the job market. What is happening in these proposed funding model is just ensuring that there are admissions to the university, but it doesn't take care of how will this student progress once he is in the university. Apart from the payment of the tuition fee, what happens is the student needs accommodation, he needs meals, he needs transport, he needs to move around, he needs to print papers, he needs to do research, to go for field work. What has been provided in the past by HELB hasn't been sufficient in its entirety because of the economy of the country. Without the new funding model would have been an equalizer, because those one who had the opportunity or the capability to pay their school fees would have. And then those who are from poor backgrounds would have been given the support from the government. But that is being taken away from us. Making an allusion to the door phenomena or the proverb that you told us is the door that the president is opening and those stakeholders who are making this policy are opening to us after we've knocked is a door that is leading us to a room full of poisonous gases, and it's going to kill us. How is this going to kill us? Previously, HELB used to charge 4% for the rates that the interest rates, and 1,000 shillings for the annual ledger fee. This loan that we're being given will have an interest of 3 times more. I perhaps could not be having a problem or so my problem about that because I'd have had the education. But what burdens me more is the authority that is being set up by that bill that is in Parliament will be given powers to go for this loan, and they have been given powers not to deduct more than 25% of my income, and that is if I get an employment.
After that. Okay, so I want to look at some numbers, okay?
Yeah.
What we've been told is that after graduation, only 7% of graduates get a job within the first 1 year. All right? Now, to pay back this loan, it's heavily dependent upon whether you get employment or whether you're in a sustainable business, for example, that will then generate income for you to then be able to pay it back, right? It's dependent upon that. But if we're looking at 7% of graduates getting a job within the first 1 year, it puts people in a bit of a pickle, because then what are you going to do in terms of paying the loan? Now, let's set that aside for a moment. And let's look at this money that you actually get. What you've gotten before has been through HELB, right? And through the university funding model, which, interestingly enough, was only funding 40% of the need.
Yeah.
Yes, because we see the numbers and we know. It was only funding 40% of the total population of those who required the funding. All right. Now, what does this money pay for? And let's go to the detail. So what course were you studying, for example?
At the University of Nairobi, in my undergraduate, I studied a Bachelor of Science in Geospatial Engineering.
So that was a 5-year course?
It was a 5-year
course. All right,
course.
I just want to go through the details, sorry, okay?
The details,
okay,
I'll
now,
give it to you.
When you got into the first year, and this could be representative for other students, okay? You said, okay, maybe I'm not going to be able to pay for this by myself. What was the total cost of a yearly, in year one? What was the cost?
Year one, before the introduction of these...
before all of this,
the students used to pay 28,500 Kenya shillings for the entire year.
What does it include?
This includes the tuition fee and everything that the university needs.
Okay.
This is not accommodation and feeding?
Let me now come to the accommodation and everything else. The factor or the component that was being taken care of by the HELB monies that I used to receive, that was a tune of 40,000 Kenya shillings. So out of that 40,000, 6,000 could go to payment of my accommodation fee.
Sorry, just let me clarify. You were getting 40,000 shillings a year from HELB?
Yes.
A year?
So it comes in 2 batches. That was 20,000 and 20,000. After you remove the annual ledger fee of 500, it comes to around 19,500 or 18,000. Some charges.
Okay.
Yes.
So now 6,000 goes to?
6,000 goes to accommodation for the entire year.
And this is on campus?
When on campus, when I was in first year, in 2017.
All right. Okay.
Is it how many years down the line?
This is okay. Let's stay in 2017 for a minute, okay? So you're getting 40,000 shillings. It maybe comes down to about 38,000 with all the deductions. All right. In a year. 6,000 goes towards accommodation.
In a year.
In a year.
In 2017.
Okay.
I know. We're still in 2017. It's okay. 6,000 goes towards accommodation in a year.
Yes.
All right. So you're left with 32,000 shillings.
Yes.
Where does this money go?
This 32,000 now goes to the meals for the entire year.
Yeah.
When I'm in school.
Okay.
Goes for my transport from the village to Nairobi to come and pursue this education.
Got it.
Goes to now to, I need to go for field work and research, let's say in Kibwesi, when I was in my 4th year, that goes to financing the same.
Okay.
By that time, it wasn't sufficient. Let me bring you...
No.
Let me bring you to
No. We are still... there's a reason why we are doing this.
Yeah.
We are still staying in 2017.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned 28,500. That was the cost of tuition in 2017.
Yes.
where does this money come from? Because the money that came from HELB has gone to accommodation and feeding for the year.
So this money now was supposed to come from household contribution.
You now
And
Soy's parents.
So his parents.
Okay.
And you will find that at times the parent wasn't able to pay for the tuition fee. That is the 28,500. 500. So if I was a student who was focused on getting my degree, I will take my HELB money and then pay for the fee to be in a position to do my exam.
So then we don't know where you're going to live or how you're going to eat.
So I'll say it's a balance.
All right.
Okay.
Now
A tight
balance things. Okay. Now.
Okay.
Let me take you to
Now.
Wait.
Where are you now? See, we're trying to figure out how this thing is going to be
step
paid.
by step.
Calm down. So this has happened 2017. You've balanced, somehow come around. They say, okay, you may proceed to second year.
Yes.
Same 40,000 comes from HELB. And we don't have an increase yet. You go to third year. Then you go to fourth year. Then you go to now your final year. You more or less scratch. Okay? Around, if you were still in university, around that time is when we saw that there was going to be an increment. Right? Was the money that was then coming from HELB also when you go to apply with the increment at the base? Was the money that came from HELB then increased as well if you applied for it?
Nope.
No. Okay. Now, how was that balance happening from other comrades, from others who were in school? How was that balance happening with the same money and an increased amount?
Increased amount of
Increased
tuition fee.
Yes.
And I'd like to make it specifically clear now that there was an increased amount of the accommodation fee from 6,000 at the University of Nairobi. Do you know to how much?
Tell us.
7 times.
42,000
42,000.
from 6,000.
In
What a
year.
shock. Okay.
That is what I have been agitating so much, to just have it in context.
All right.
Okay.
We agitated last year and it was reduced by half to around now 20-something to 15. Not
Okay.
bad. When that increment came about, we saw massive dropout of some of our students from the university who couldn't afford completely. We now saw the surgeons of students going to these loan apps that are there to borrow for them to be able to finance their food, nothing else.
Okay.
But when the rubber met the road, that is when the time for examinations came, they weren't allowed into the examination rooms.
Okay.
What happened? They deferred.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Many
of them
deferred.
Okay.
Daktari,
Yes.
we've just painted a picture of what the situation is in universities as we speak today.
Yes.
And any forward-thinking government then would go back to the drawing board and see how best to address the situation. Because whilst Soy is talking about, let's look at the 40,000 that they're receiving at the time, it still wasn't enough. Economy has changed. Everything has gone up, yet we're still giving 40,000, and we're even increasing on some of the funding that goes into the same. Not funding in terms of expenses, still have gone up. Would you reckon that as a country where we find ourselves today, that we are not intentional, we do not have political goodwill to address matters to do with education as a fact with the agency that it requires, that all we're doing is just playing politics?
Well said. I think unless now we enact or we elect another government that is sensible enough, we are headed to a big dish in academics, and we may not be able to compete in the academic field simply because our students will not have gone through their education, more to say the university education. Although we attest that we are going and we are developing our country, towards other developed countries. We compare ourselves with Singapore, which is actually synonymous. It's not even compatible with our country. I think if you go back to from primary education to the university education, things are quite expensive. We have a lot of fees that are being charged that are illegal from our primary schools to a higher schools, and you find that even many people many students do not even access education because they won't even be able to have paid or cleared their fee in the high schools, and it starts from there. And again, when we talk about policy, we lack the goodwill of our politicians to enact a good policy that can make education accessible to everybody. They always...
Yes. Dr.
Yes.
When we talk about education and implementation of policies that do come up, the Constitution itself requires public participation. Why do I bring that up? Because by the time a government comes out with a policy or change of that policy, then students, parents, and even lecturers, teachers ought to be included in this entire conversation for us to have a linear picture on the situation in the schools. Do you reckon, or rather, what's the situation when it comes to views from parents, views from students, views from tutors being picked up to inform policy direction and decisions that would be implemented later?
I wish we had a listening ear when you come to people who listen, because we had a presidential working party that did some public participation. We gave very good views that could be put into policy, but they were never enacted. They enacted what they wanted. They enact what they are guided by the politics of the day. So I think it's until when public participation shall be taken serious. Because we seriously say that it would have been important for everybody to be accorded the same opportunity to learn. And more so, we have so many vulnerable people, orphans, and putting it seriously, Parliament should enact that all vulnerable students, all vulnerable people should access education without any discrimination. But you find that we are discriminated upon. We discriminate upon our poor. And again, this is what goes plus is only to the rich people, because the rich will always be able to access education. And I think this is a policy that was a long time ago, that is so ancient, that is outdated, that it is easy to rule a poor person. Yeah. And you can only be poor if you don't go through education.
So here we have the education funding model, which is just an aspect of university education, where then is ensuring that a student is able to go to class, be able to pay for tuition and everything else. But I want to look at the overall funding of university education, where then we equally have our lecturers being paid. We have development, research and development in universities as well being invested in. Because there has been an argument that if you look at even the infrastructure in universities today, it is what some were left by the colonial masters. Nothing much has gone into improving our universities as they were today to the standards where we say we are competing in the modern world. Well, that is the case then. We will increase fees and everything else, but we're not seeing commensurate investment into education in universities, as it were, for us to get the very best. How's the situation like?
Before I get to how the situation is like, I'd just like to just bring to light, when the president was mentioning about the introduction of these free university education, he made a concession that the previous models has failed. When the principal secretary was in Parliament, she said that this is similar to boom that my brother Dr. here benefited from.
Yes.
And boom failed terribly. That is why there wasn't a mechanism to recollect those loans or get back.
Yeah.
What this bill that is in Parliament intends to do, the Cabinet Secretary mentioned that the funding authority will have powers to utilize non-traditional resource mobilization mechanisms. We should be asking ourselves as a country, what are these non-traditional forms? They talked about education bonds and capital markets, and they are trying to say they want to ensure adequacy of funding. So is the government trying to say that We just want to fund university education, or they are interested in these education bonds and capital markets. In my view, that is what they are interested in. The structures that we have in our universities, as we talk, you've put it clearly, these are structures that were built in the 1970s, 1980s. We lucky at the University of Nairobi, we have one flagship project, 2030, the University of Nairobi Towers, because of the parallel programs that were there before Dr. Matiang'i came into office and did something around there. The problem about university funding, and the PS also consented to this, is budgetary allocation. You'll find that there is budgetary requirements of around 112 billion, figure around there. But what the parliament allocates is something shy of a half. So we are running away from treating or curing the same problem, but just going in a circus to be in a position whereby they are saying something is being done. When Dr. said that there are policies or propositions that they gave to the Presidential Working Party on education reforms that was chaired by Professor Munavu, their consideration and policies were not taken into consideration in the final report. The question that we are asking ourselves as students and student leaders and the entire country is, who is that person who sneaks in these policies or these recommendations into the reports, apart or away from the recommendation made by the parents, by the stakeholders who are seasoned, and by the lecturers and the students, or the people who are in the university or the education sector? And when the president make a proclamation that it will be free before the enactment in parliament, is the parliament being used as a rubber stamp? Do they have that now, the power that they should be having to amend this bill to ensure it suits the needs of the country? Or are we just politicking about our future? Do these people really care about where we're coming from? And what we are now asking ourselves is, if Dr. here has said that their proposals were not considered, whose are these proposals? No, whose are these proposals
that we're enacting today?
It is not the parliament's proposal. That's why they haven't discussed it. It's in the floor of the House. And will the parliament discuss these proposals in its entirety, or the parliamentarians are now rushing to up country to campaign and defend their seats? Parliaments will be coming to a close in a few months. Will they be just discussing these things for the betterment of our education sector, or just to please the presidency and the executive?
While we can have a conversation about what it means politically, we also have to ask the question about what's going to happen come the final week of August when these students will go to school. And let's talk about that when we come back from this break. We're having a conversation about university funding and trying to understand what exactly is going to happen, because we can talk about the politicking until the cows come home. But there are students who are going to be walking into the gates of universities in another 2 weeks. What is going to happen? We'll continue when we come back. Stay with us.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
This money, wherever it's going to be found from, will not be dispersed. Now, let's face the reality that there are hundreds of thousands of students who will be coming into university gates in the end of this month. That's not it. There are hundreds of thousands of students who were in university. So those who were in first year are now going to second. Those who were in second are going to third. Those who were in third are going to fourth. Everybody breathed a sigh of relief when the government said, university funding on my tab.
Tutalipa.
And then we come later and then we say, actually, you know what? How about my tab is you pay back my tab, right? Let me take that back, because actually not his money. It's government. It's your money. It's taxes.
3 times interest.
Right? So how is that supposed to happen? Because you can take the loan. I don't think that would be a problem. But we're questioning now, will that money then be available come September 1st? Whereby it's now supposed to fill pit. Because remember, what we're saying is that it's not necessarily money that's given to students. That the facility will be paid so that now you can activate your education, tuition, accommodation, and such. Will that money then be available? Because if it's not, I see we're staring at a major crisis. Dr.
I think we can, the seriousness, we would think that if this money is going to be available, urgent matters are supposed to be taken to Parliament, and the Parliament is supposed to discuss a supplementary budget for education only, and that's is only when we would think that they are serious. Because if they accorded a supplementary budget for all these over 200 students plus who are going to who are seeking an entry in the universities, then that we will take it seriously. What I think is that if they're not playing any politics, and it is very sad that our government is quick in playing politics with our children. I think we should see it being done now. And actually, it's supposed to have been done yesterday, so that we can have an affirmation that our students are going to access university education. That's the only way. But if there's no any other way, and then they can remember, the youth are saying, and we're also saying to Kokadi, and this should be taken seriously. And to Kokadi, we should start deliberating before the election. Who can we put back into Parliament? Somebody who can take serious matters first, because the priority should be accorded to education. But where I see it, I don't see anybody taking seriously. They are just rhetorics, and I don't think that the government is going to be able. And this is going to be so sad, because so many youth will not be able to access education. They will not be able to. They will just defer going to the universities, and this is going to be very sad. But then now let us have the doors that is opened by the president's mouth, that money should be given. We believe that is the gospel of truth. If that is the gospel of truth, then that is very, very, very well. And that is a plus for the president.
Okay, so you're saying we should actually believe that this is going to happen?
We should, because we have no reason of not believing. We should not have reason of not believing, because it gives us a little hope.
Yeah.
We will only be hopeless if it doesn't happen. And it shall be so sad to the youth if it never happens. That will be the greatest lie of all time, and it will be appended in history that somebody lied to the poor parent of this country.
Soy told us that he came from. Where did you come from before you came to Nairobi?
Bomet.
Yes. He was in Bomet.
Yes.
He didn't just stand up one fine Tuesday and say, "Oh, University of Nairobi has called me. Here I come." No. His parents prepared you with whatever they have. Yes. They say, "Okay, now son, you are going. You need to maybe book a vehicle, unless it's those ones fly by night. You say, okay, let's go stand on the side of the road, shuttle Nairobi, boom, let's go." No, what am I saying? You prepared for it, and you know that this is where we are going. Did you apply for HELB on the day you were going to school, or did you do it prior?
With earlier.
Right. Okay. So before you got on said vehicle to come to Nairobi, there were certain things that were in place,
Yes.
so that by the time you present yourself at the University of Nairobi, before you go to the Faculty of Engineering, for example, there are certain things that had already been done. Your name was on a list somewhere. There was a card that you had received. There was accommodation that you had been given. All of these things had happened because you made a move prior. Now, it might shock everybody, but today is the 11th of August.
Yep.
Okay?
Yes, it is.
The trimester, begins in 2 weeks. There are people who have no idea what they are doing because of this thing. No meal cards, no accommodation stub.
No funding.
You don't know, because a week ago it was, we're taking care of everything. Now it's, you're going to take a loan. So how in that process do you reckon that students are preparing for this new semester?
Let me tell the country and the nation what is going to happen from... At least for University of Nairobi, they will be admitting from 24th of August. The Ministry of Education will compel the universities, because they are public universities, that you need to admit all the students, regardless, because the government is going to fund, and they have promised to do so.
Okay.
The universities will take in the students the way they are, and they won't ask them of any monies.
They won't ask for money, all right.
Because they have been given a directive, and the president has made the proclamation. They will be given accommodation in the little available spaces that are there. For University of Nairobi, it's 10,000 bed capacity. After that, they will be now told, can you go to class? And the parent will be told, don't worry, we are taking care of your students. Where will the problems come? The allocation of these monies to the universities for payment of bills and everything else. So the parent atakuwa anaambiwa usionge, nimekwambia mtoto aingie university. The child will be told, the student, no, don't make noise. We are going to take care of it as a government. The lecturers will try to make some little bit of noise. What will happen? The government will pay their salaries. And they'll be told, we've taken care of your salary. And in this salary, it will be the basic salary devoid of the statutory deductions to pay as you earn, SHA, the loans, blah, blah, blah. And they'll be told, you relax. Then now, the elephant in the room, the quality of education. The lecturer won't be having that morale to come and teach. The materials that need to be bought to ensure that this learner gets to class and does their lab work, their assignments and everything won't be there. The water bills at the universities, electricity bills, you'll find that the county governments will come now cutting those because they haven't been paid. And there will be no one particular person to cause uproar because parent haulipi. Mtoto nimekuambia uende usome. Lecturer nimekulipa fee yako. And now the university dons, the vice chancellors and the administrators will be told, can you contain the space? What kind of space are we putting them in? It's a hard place. And that is why I thank God I'm not a vice chancellor at this era. Because at that time when it comes to a place whereby you're not able to contain, you told you are incompetent or you cannot run the university. Therefore, can you step aside for someone else to come and take that position?
Sorry.
That is what pains me.
Sorry.
And that is the conversation that nobody wants to tread into, because if I tread into it, we unaongea nini?
So, university funding model for the students is not working. But overall spending, or rather funding of university education in the country is not there, starting from salaries to statutory deductions to improvement of infrastructure. Nothing seemingly is moving. And you look at university education in any country, and that is the best there is in terms of research, development, coming up with new ideas, and pushing an economy of the country forward. Now, where quality of education in these universities is affected by government's sheer lack of spending and funding universities as expected, quality goes down. From where we sit, we can be honest here. A lecturer who is sad, a lecturer who's not paid, a lecturer who's struggling, what exactly are they offering at that state? Do you reckon that then students who graduate, there's a reason why wanasema engineer in Kenya today kidogo, we might as well just go to China and have one.
Mini engineer usiongei hivyo.
But just saying, in terms of quality that students are being given.
That is why I am breaking. It could be not physically, but inside me. And I thank you people and Spice TV for giving me an opportunity, Spice FM, to air the sentiments of the students. That is the state that we are in. And we are already in a hole, but we are continuing to dig deeper. Just because of political expediency or just excitements. The lecturer, when you're happy with this, he'll just come in and then now give you the notes or past papers and then offer something to work around it and then move on to do a part-time perhaps in a private university or do his Matatu business or do his kiosk business to supplement the income. And then because he's a lecturer at Ambiwa, you have a job, so you need to pay for your student. And they need to take care also of their children, their nephews, their nieces. So they need to work on something. The problem we are having is allocation of sufficient funds to university education and the entirety of the education. we appreciate that the highest funded department or ministry or sector is education. However, it is not sufficient. We've seen the parliament passing supplementary budgets. Are there supplementary budgets in line with education if they truly care? We've seen the government of the day scrapping off debts and loans of various entities in the country. What is the big problem to make that proclamation the way they did for the coffee farmers, for the sugar farmers? Why can they say that these over 90 billion loans in HELB can just be scrapped off? And we start afresh and the government allocates sufficient resources to this sector. I believe in the aspect of, when talk about development, human development and Amartya Sen's capability approach. We improve the capability and the freedoms of the generation and the citizens of one's country to be able to meet their needs and those of the country. The engineer you creating or training now, that doctor and teacher, is a resource for this country. Because in the next 1 or 2 years, after they complete and they get that opportunity, they will be paying taxes. They'll be seeking to improve their livelihood. In that essence, it will be improving the country's economy. We cannot just focus on economic development alone. The people of a republic are key and instrumental. And if not today, if not this year, after these people finish university and they are unemployed, do you know what happened in France? Do you know what happened in France? There was something that tried to happen in 2024, but it was quelled. It comes a time that the whole system will have to collapse and then we rebuild it from the ground. It has happened elsewhere. Are we waiting for that specific moment to come so that we can remedy those things? Or can we do it right now and this moment and engage in conversation of not pointing fingers here and just having remedies that cannot? My father used to tell me that once you have a diarrhea, you cannot cure it by stitching the harness. Why are we trying to stitch the harness? And I want to understand, and I'll revert back to the question which we had is, he sat in the Presidential Working Party on education reforms, but what was presented doesn't reflect the views. So whose views are in that policy? Is the government just interested in these education bonds and private sectors coming in? Are they the ones who are having the money and looking for somewhere to pump into after doing the KPC thing and privatization? Now they are looking further to entrench themselves. We are worried, but we need solutions as a country.
Dr. How worried are you as a parent on where we're headed with university education in this country and whether we are serious at all in fixing the issues that we have for us to say that this education meets the required standards for all children of this country?
I would still progress to saying that if Parliament doesn't convene urgently and accord a supplementary budget to support education, we shall take it to be I don't know, but we should take it to be a parliament that is not caring, a parliament that doesn't care about the parent of this country. And I repeat again, as the young man says, he says, it put it very clearly. There is a revolution on the waiting. Do we wait until when things go worse? Or do we wait until when people will say no? Do we wait until when there will be an uprising because of the suppression that the parent are undergoing? This is meat for the parliament. They can consume that and they think whether they are serious. If they don't accord priority to offloading the burden that is on the parent is tired. Puda ameshoka. And we know that when we say that, we are not taken seriously. But imagine how many parents we are in this country. The parents are the voters. The youth are the voters. But Are we giving them a fair deal when we educate them, they stay home? We are overburdening the parent. When I go on feeding my 32-year-old boy, and he has a master's degree, he cannot, because nepotism has come in. When shall we be serious to saying that everybody is accorded equal opportunity where jobs are concerned? We must go away, we must put away nepotism, because I think nepotism is the thing, is the animal, is the big elephant in the parliament, that when you become a parliamentarian, you want to make sure that your in-laws are employed, your cousins are employed, and everybody is. We want the government to be a bit serious and not to accord jobs through nepotism. And because I think if our students not go to the parliament, I have a boy who is actually invited in Muranga University, and I'm wondering how will I be able to fund. And this is more than 100,000 in entering the university, because you can imagine the things have changed. So I think the government should be serious, and I will repeat again, we would like to see Parliament doing a supplementary budget for funding education, and even overruling, even computation for the universities and other institutions, because they have a very big deficit that they have not paid. But money is given on paper, but is not accorded to where it is supposed to be. The helicopters that fly over this country, if that budget is put to education, I think we do not have any problem. And I think this early campaigning is using a lot of money, and is supposed to be put where it's supposed to be. We are supposed to go back to education, fund education the way it's supposed to be funded, and make sure that there's job opportunities and educate. You see, like the CBE is a big joke. And why is it a big joke? You cannot start training people to make ropes using available material, and we are saying we are going to Singapore. I don't think Singaporean students are doing the same. They can be able to fix a Subaru engine. They can be able to do serious small things. So we should not trivialize education. And as parents, we are very tired, and we think that if the government doesn't consider funding education, they can as well say that they are not able to govern, because serious government puts a lot of resources to the youth, put a lot of resources to creating job opportunities. But this is not done. So I think we are not serious. The government is not serious. And if they continue like that, so he has said it all, it's a revolution on the waiting. It is not us who even instigate it. It will just come by its own. And it will be serious. And I think the government should take note. Please offload the parent from this big burden of paying and funding university education, and even the other educations, because I think there's no education that is funded free. From primary to high school, and you see people start having problem now. They go to high schools to try to get their resort slips. They will not be given because they have not funded. The government will go on the top of vehicles and say, can you please give them the resort slips, because it is the child right to get educated. Then who will pay the debtors of the schools? Who will pay the debtors of the universities? Whose burden will it be? The government is running away from its serious responsibility. And I think they should rethink and recall Parliament, convince Parliament immediately, so that we can fund education. And if it's not funded, this is our money. We are the taxpayers, and we are very agitated to see that the government is not taking matters seriously. It's trivializing serious matters, and actually prioritizing matters that are not non-status, like politicking.
Indeed.
Allow
and that
me
we
to
in 10
have
seconds.
a closing remark on the same. On what will happen next is the government, once there is an uproar, will close all the public universities and say they are not untenable. What we are asking of the government of the day is kindly finance university education and let us study. That is so
finance
simple.
it and let's study. So it's important that some of these things came out this morning, and that is the solution. Everyone looking for a solution, that's it. Just finance it and let students study. Yes. It will be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of weeks, because it's coming. Dr. Maina Wa Gaidoro and Michael Soy, thank you for joining us in this conversation this morning. And everybody who was in the Situation Room today, thank you for being part of these conversations necessary for us to do. Good morning. It's 10 o'clock.
The latest news from around...